We started off thinking outsourcing was a good thing to do and realised that you need to only outsource what you understand. I think one of the worst mistakes you can make is going into that not properly understanding what you want to get from it. Too often it's treated as a way of purely driving down costs, and you start to forget about the quality aspects and the flexibility aspects and the value you get from having control over what you have just outsourced.
Size makes it harder if you're smaller to outsource, because again, a lot of people will cover multiple roles. When you outsource, quite often you'll be looking for a business analyst, a Unix programmer, a Oracle analyst, whatever it happens to be. And generally the cost base for that is predicated on full-time resources. Now, I have a lot of people who are multi-skilled. I can't imagine being able to outsource them or the ability to turn on a dime. So from a smaller business perspective, it does make it a little bit harder. The alternative, though, is because we're smaller and younger, as we grow, is actually we can outsource functions before we develop them in-house, rather than developing them in-house. I don't think I would put the crown jewels, so to speak, so I think they were called in the paper. So anything to do with company or technical strategy, actually the core values of our design, how we design, I wouldn't necessarily put in an outside company. Other elements, so once you have the patterns that you're going to design to, for example, in LTE radio patterns or how we deliver fibre to the premises, then I don't see why I wouldn't outsource that. A lot of that is effectively a skilled design job, but it is based on and structured by our design principles.
Network support?
Definite candidate for outsourcing. I think it's reached a level of maturity where you can quite easily outsource that, providing you set it up correctly at the outset and know what you want to achieve from it.
Network project delivery?
Depends on your definition of project delivery. I think if that activity is simple, in inverted commas, running of projects, simple projects that you want to have a clear outcome and it's relatively straightforward, definite outsource capability. I think it also depends on the skills you've got in-house as to the quality of your project managers, etc. But yeah, no reason why you couldn't outsource that strategically.
I'd happily consider outsourcing it as a piece of work, if you like, a whole piece of work with a defined set of deliverables. We actually do outsource some of our project delivery anyway currently, but mainly using contractors rather than work packages.
System integration?
This would be mixed. I think it depends on the level of complexity and how important that integration is that you're outsourcing. I've seen very successful outsourcing of systems integration, but equally sometimes that is so core to what you want to do that you need to keep it in-house as well.
System integration, I would definitely outsource, providing we're talking about technical integration. But again, it's about, for me, keeping the architecture and the ownership of the patterns that you're going to use and how things will work end-to-end in-house.
Getting less popular now in our survey, IT architecture?
Something I personally wouldn't do. I think that is something that's really core to what you want to do as a business. It helps you respond to threats from the market, it helps you change direction, something I would suggest you'd keep in-house.
I would keep the enterprise architecture and possibly a couple of other bits and pieces like business architecture in-house. Things like solution architecture I'd happily outsource, but again with an overview. It's a lot harder to do those sorts of things offshore, particularly for a small business, so it'd probably have to be, a physically proximate resource that did it.
The lowest one in the survey was program management.
An odd result, I guess, in many ways, because I think you often see quite a lot of program managers as contractors. And I think, again, it depends on how you're using program management. If that is the management of extremely large, complex programs, that are defining what you're trying to implement as a business, then I would suggest you keep that in-house. If it is just a large set of relatively simple projects that have been tied together in a program, then I guess you could outsource that.
We already, again, outsource some of our program management, and I would expect to continue doing that. We do it both in terms of to companies who manage certain pieces of work end-to-end from us, and in terms of actually bringing in contracts quite often to supplement our project management. But again, we have our ways of doing things and our own governance structures internally that monitor and manage the delivery around that.